Hi guys, you'll have to excuse how beautiful I look. I've been up since 5:30. I ran a 10K this morning in under an hour, so I'm really happy and very tired and sore, and I don't actually think I can get up off the floor without some assistance, and no one's home, so I'm stuck here until my legs start working again. Haven't made one of these in a couple of weeks because I've been super busy. Lots of changes in my life, a lot of challenging things that, could affect recovery, but I've stayed strong and seen the positive side of a few, issues which have come up recently. And that's a huge test for me because whenever something minor and life-changing happens, I usually fall off the rails, and this has been a major thing. So that's a really good test of my willpower and how far I've come in recovery. I wanted to make this video because I was talking to a girlfriend of mine recently who has also gone through recovery and is sort of struggling at the moment with that whole concept of dealing with the loss of who you were before you went through all of this crap, whether it's depression or it's an eating disorder or any kind of mental illness that sort of hijacks your personality and your body and turns you into somebody that you don't know. And that's one thing to make peace with whilst you're sick and whilst you're going through it, because I think we all cling to this hope when we're going through it that when you come out the other side, you're going to be who you were before this absolute bastard of a thing came and just turned your life to hell. And when you get past the whole euphoria of surviving, which is huge, it doesn't really matter how far into recovery you are. If you are surviving just on a day-to-day basis, I know how hard that is. So you're doing an amazing job however you're getting through it. Don't ever compare your recovery to anybody else's. And I've struggled with that because I think that you think that a guarantee of recovery is that you get to be the person that you were before. The person that I was before recovery was very, very strong and resilient, very quick-witted, very, very strong-willed. I didn't really care what people thought of me. Ironic. I didn't let other people's opinions get to me or form my opinion of myself. And I was very sure of where I was going in my life and the decisions that I was making to get there. Who was Mia in her eating disorder? She was cripplingly insecure, very needy, absolute people pleaser, not very confident in any of her decisions about her life, absolutely needed validation from everybody else, even people who she didn't value that much. Absolutely self-loathing, lots of self-hatred, no self-esteem, like in the minuses for self-esteem, neurotic and constantly on a roller coaster of emotion and pretty unbearable to be around. I thought that if I went into recovery that old Mia would come back, and she hasn't. And I used to miss her terribly and got quite angry that I wasn't feeling that sense of returning to myself. And then probably in the last few months of recovery, I'm almost a year into it, which is huge. I have started to make peace with the fact that I'm not ever going to be that person again, because I'm 26 and the person who I was before any of this was 18. So even without the eating disorder or whatever mental illness, you would have gone through enormous change, personality-wise, experience-wise. It may not necessarily have been this, but you would have experienced things which would have changed components of your personality. And who you are as a person is not static. It's not that this threw you off course and everybody else who hasn't suffered from this just gets to keep being the awesome person that they remember. You change year to year, month to month, week to week, depending on your experiences. This is yours, this is mine. Friends of mine have had severe loss. They've lost parents, they've lost partners, they've lost siblings. I, knock on wood, have been lucky enough not to endure that, not to go through that change. This is mine. One of my favorite sayings is, if you could stand around with a group of people and everybody put their problems out on the table and you had the option to pick up somebody else's or pick up your own again, chances are when you got to see what other people are really dealing with and are probably excellent at hiding the way that you are, chances are you'd pick up your own problems because you know them and you know how to cope with them to an extent. The second way to sort of let go of that attachment that you have to the person that you used to be is to remember that that idea of who you were is probably 99% not real. Lots of nostalgia, lots of romanticizing what your life was like before, who you were before. It's like anything in your past. You always remember it being better. It's like I sat down to watch The Goonies recently, which I hadn't seen for years, and it totally ruined it for me. I mean, it's still an awesome movie, but my memory of it was one thing, and the reality of it was a total other. And the feeling that I got from it, the experience that I got from it, was not what I recalled it being. It could have been exactly the same, but my memory has romanticized how I felt about it, not how the experience actually played out. Like with relationships, I remember, relationships that I've had now, and I remember all of the good stuff and how amazing he was and how much fun we had together. And then a girlfriend of mine will be like, oh my God, can you remember when so-and-so left you hanging for 24 hours? You didn't know where he was. He didn't call you back. And I was like, yeah, he used to do that all the time, and it drove me nuts. How could I have just completely blocked that? We have a tendency to romanticize the things in the past that we can't have anymore, or that, seem so much more amazing than they really were. And that's wonderful. That's wonderful to have that memory, but don't hold too much stock in it. Because in 10 years' time, you might be looking back at this period of your life and thinking, oh my God, things were so much easier then than they are now. It's like when I'm walking to work every day, I'm like, oh, why can't I be in high school again? It was so much easier. I'd spend 9 hours, 10 hours, 11 hours in this place. I got to just rock up at 9 and leave at 3. That was sweet. But also, I couldn't drink, I couldn't vote, I couldn't drive. So everything has a payoff. The third thing that you need to realize is that these hardships, this eating disorder, this mental illness is going to give you attributes and positive changes to your personality that you may not have had otherwise. When I was younger, I was pretty much a hard ass. I was a bitch, for want of a better word. I was very cut and dry, very black and white. People were weak or they were strong. They were evil or they were good. They were loyal or disloyal. There was no shades of grey with me. I was very much judge, jury and executioner. If I thought something, it was right. I could not be wrong. I used to say stupid things like, I've been right for 18 years and I'm not going to stop now. Like, what a tool. I'm far more compassionate now. I'm far more likely to sit and listen than to just bark my opinion at people, even though that's basically what I do here in these videos. So in a lot of ways, I wouldn't trade the last 6 years for anything. In other ways, I would absolutely set fire to this eating disorder if I could, and never have gone through it. But the more I'm starting to like myself, the more I'm grateful that I have this version of myself. And without it, I could still be very black and white and have missed out on so many experiences, so many people, so many opportunities to look outside of myself and try to help somebody else, because that's truly the greatest sense of accomplishment, is when you reach out and you are able to make somebody else's life easier. In some weird way, it all comes back around and makes your life easier. So that's really the 3 things that I try to focus on when I get all, grief-stricken over what happened to that girl. Well, that girl wasn't quite what you imagined she was. and she wouldn't have ended up with the great attributes that you've got now. And even though it's only silver lining some days, just hold tight to it. And always try to think ahead to you in 10 years, 20 years' time, encouraging you and pushing you along and telling you this is all going to be worth it. You're going to get out the other side, and, you know, you wouldn't trade it for anything. And I think that given I'm like ancient on Tumblr, I can promise you there's a trade-off. Like you will learn from this, you will grow from this, and you will look back and you will think, thank God I survived that. So just keep going. Anyway, I'm going to go because I have to crawl into the kitchen and make myself some Mexican food because I'm starving. But this is a really long one. So thank you if you stuck with me watching it. And as always, take care, much love, and I will try to check in soon. Okay, bye.